Now, if you watch my tables training video, we learned that when we want to convert a database into a table, that it did a few things, applied some formatting, and also added these little drop-down arrows next to each of the column labels. That was the AutoFilter. It allowed us to filter the records, either those that we wanted to see and pull up, or those that we didn't and filter out. Here, if you didn't want to convert this database into a table, you can apply the AutoFilter manually. Just go ahead and click anywhere within the database. There's two ways you can do it. Either come up here on the Home tab to the Editing group, click on the Sort and Filter drop-down arrow. There's Filter. Of course, you can go ahead and undo that, or if the undo option isn't there, click on the drop-down arrow and just click on the same button again. It removes those little drop-down arrows. Or it's also on the Data tab to the Sort and Filter group. There it is, Filter. It brings them up. As you recall in the table training videos, that when it comes to filtering our data, just go ahead and click on one of these drop-down arrows. If I want to filter it for the rate column and only show those records that, let's say, you can go ahead and unselect that, for those people who are earning, wow, $1 an hour, $3.35 an hour, click OK. And then to go ahead and clear that, I can do it one of two ways. Either come up here in the Sort and Filter group and click Clear, or click on the drop-down arrow and click Clear. But if you opened up this database and you're like, I wonder if those are the only two records, the two things that you can look at to find out, or perhaps three, to see if there are more records. First of all, if you look up here on the Data tab and you see the filter funnel that's turned on or is highlighted, something's being filtered. Or more obvious is the little filter funnel next to any one of these AutoFilter arrows. Or you can look over here on the row headers and notice that those records that are showing up, that are displaying, that are filtered in, the row headers font is in blue. Then also you got gaps. I mean, it jumps from 4 to 23, from 23 to 40. So yeah, you got a lot of records that are being filtered out. In any case, to clear that, I'll just go ahead and click the drop-down arrow and clear that, and we're back to square one. By the way, if you can't see your column labels and it annoys you to have that little AutoFilter covering up half the label, just come up here in between the two column headers, click and drag to stretch it out. In any case, there we go. Let's do a few more filtering options. I'm going to do it by last name. Click on the drop-down arrow. Text filters. I can do anything that equals a certain name. More specifically, if it was numbers, like how many people are working 40 hours a week. Does not equal, begins with, ends with. Like if it begins with, let's say, any last name that begins with the letter C, type it in there, click OK, and I don't have to look at everybody else or scroll through. I can just pull up the C's here. And then if I want to do an and or in addition to this filter, in other words, I want a second criteria, go ahead and click on the drop-down arrow, go back to where we came, and let's go down to Custom Filter. Still has begins with the letter C, and let's say it has to meet another condition. How about it has to contain the letter N? So anywhere in the last name it has to have the letter N, and it also has to begin with the letter C. And Colbright has the letter C but no letter N within the last name. Click OK. Because it didn't meet both of those conditions, it filtered Colbright out. Or click on the drop-down arrow. Let's go back to Custom Filter. We could say or. It doesn't matter as long as one of these conditions is met, either this one or that one. So if you have a last name that begins with the letter C, hey, you're filtered in. We'll be able to see you. Or if you have a last name that has the letter N anywhere within the last name, you're also in the club. We want to see you as well. Click OK, and boy, that's just about everybody. Not only can you add additional criteria or conditions for one column, but you can leave that one filtered and then come over here and add another filter on top of that one by last name. Let's say that we want anything or anybody that's greater than or earning more in 1 week, let's say $3,000, and click OK. Now, as a side note, if I go ahead and click and drag and select the range, down below the sum total is 18,000. Well, if I go ahead and try to use the sum function equals sum, hit the tab key and go ahead and select the range and hit enter, does it equal 18,000? No. But here's a way around that. Because what it's doing is including all the hidden records that we can't see. It's finding them there and including them in the total. So instead of using the sum function, let me delete that, or any other function like averaging or counting up, use the subtotal equals sub. And I know I'm getting ahead myself. We ought to have another training video on the subtotal function, but arrow down, returns a subtotal in a list or database, hit the tab key, and then it says, okay, what do you want to subtotal up? In other words, when we select this range here, what's the subtotal of what we can see and not what's being hidden? Well, I want to add up that range. And you can see you've got average, count, and all the other basic functions. Hit the tab key, so we selected the ninth option, the sum, comma, and then it says, okay, go ahead and select a reference. Well, it's going to be this range here. Then hit enter, and there you go, 18,000. So if you ever need to come up with the sum of a range, average, or count, and you've got hidden records, don't use the basic functions because it'll include all those hidden records, but go ahead and use the subtotal. Select the option, in this case it was option 9, to sum up this range here, and we can leave that up without having to select the range and just try to look down at the bottom on the stat bar for the sum, count, or average. In any case, when I'm done, I'm going to go ahead and select it, delete it, and then to go ahead and clear, instead of going down this filter option, clearing that, and then going down that one and clearing it, I can go ahead and come up here and click clear and clear all. Of course, don't forget that when in doubt, you can always right click, go down to filter, and you get some other options here, like go ahead and filter by what you have selected in this cell, $11. If I filter by that, then anybody else who's earning $11 an hour will show up. In any case, the other options when you right click, you can filter by selected color, so if the cell has a color of pink, it can go ahead and filter by color there, or by the font color, or by the icon. In any case, a few more options. And then again, to turn this off, just go ahead on the data tab to the sort and filter group, click on it to unhighlight it, and it removes the AutoFilter drop-down arrows. Thanks for watching. Hey, as a quick reminder, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click on me and subscribe to my channel, get notified of the latest videos, and for only $2 a month, you can have access to all my Microsoft Office training videos.